welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to the Variety Channel. I am your host, WN. This is the Variety Channel WN Stuff, and today we are going to be doing one of our reactions. We're going to be reacting to one of my favorite channels, not only because it has one of my best friends doing it, but the content is just crazy. The Inktank, and today's video is giving Anur aliens ultimate forms. If you haven't seen this type of video before, essentially what's going to be happening is there's going to be aliens in the universe, and they're going to be getting some type of redesign or an additional form depending on what OR Ash wants to do, and it's just a whole lot of fun. These videos are very cool and very much like Saturday morning cartoons, and just we get to enjoy and learn a little something. A lot of these videos are very informative when it comes to Ben 10 related information. But before we get into it, I am an artist. I like to make music. Hope some of y'all might give that a little bit of a listen. And without further ado, let's get into this review. Reaction. All right. 3, 2, 1. The Drawing Matrix.
Good evening, ghosts,
Good evening.
gremlins, and ghoulies alike. This is OR Ash, and welcome back to the Drawing Matrix.
Hello.
Happy Halloween, everybody. We are back once again to continue our Ultimates Overhauled series. Last time, we started covering the original series' playlist add-ons, and this time around, we are continuing with some of the spookiest species Ben 10 has. I am, of course, referring to the Halloween trio. 'Tis the season, after all. These aliens being tossed into the fray, starting with the arcing plot of Season 3... Okay, I was correct with Season 3. I doubted myself, though. These aliens being tossed into the fray, starting in the arcing plot of Season 3, started to change how I was thinking about the show's creature design a lot. Plus, Halloween being my favorite holiday also made me fall in love with the show even more as a kid.
Vampire.
Do you smell that?
What? My wolf breath's not that bad.
As the moon breaks free from the clasp of the clouds, you hear the baying and barking of the biped banshee, Benwolf. I call him
Always
Benwolf
with the
because
alliteration.
I reject the name Blitzwolfer. It's a dumb name made from a dumb joke. He's based on a werewolf and has the powers of, well, a werewolf. You know, aside from his howls being able to shatter stone. To start off, I leaned a bit more into the original series design, mainly because his hair was made of, like, these chunky tendrils, and I really dig that style. But secondly, because I wanted to turn each of those tendrils into a mouth. Benwolf's signature ability is his sonic howling, and I wanted to give him the ability to do said howling in various directions all at the same time. But I didn't want to go with the obvious, like, Cerberus multiple heads route, so what I did is more like a Cerberus mixed with,
Scruffy.
I don't know, Medusa? Looking more into the werewolf tropes, I thought it would be cool to add silver bullets into his new power set. Famously, they're known to kill werewolves, but I thought if Ultimate Humongo can shoot rockets from his frickin' hands, then Benwolf can have a gun of some kind. So with that, I decided to give him metal bones. Not to get into the adding metal to Ultimate's gimmick, but I thought his teeth could be made of metal, and when he howls, he can detach and launch them like little projectiles, and then reload by regenerating more teeth. Hence, an equivalent to silver bullets.
Pretty
Kind
cool.
of. Just like regenerating his teeth, he would be able to extend these blade-like digits to use for some paw-to-paw slashing combat. I'm just now realizing, as I typed the script for this video, these new, like, metal powers actually make him very similar to Bashmouth.
Okay.
Son of a... So, to recap...
I was also going to say, very Wolverine of you.
Multi-mouthed hide for howling in various directions, and metallic bones for firing teeth,
Regeneration,
like slashing
metal inside of the body.
As far as his trade-offs, I would say his metal bones mean he's a bit heavier and a bit slower than the original form. So, other than that, may I present my take on an Ultimate Benwolf I dub Medusa.
Ultimate Ben.
Medusa.
The mummy. Ah, great.
As the winds whirl, stirring the sky, you see the swirling slings of the slinking sovereign, Snare-oh. Snare-oh was actually the first thing designed.
We were all
for this
S's on
video,
that one.
but I wanted to present them in playlist order, so now it's mummy time. I drew him first because he was my most solidified
you my mummy?
idea. The actual body of the mummy is just its head, and that it produces these wraps to use as like a suit to prop itself up on. And he can take a lot of damage to his bandages without reacting almost at all. I wanted to extend its actual body into being a half torso instead of just a head. This torso I designed with elements of both scarab beetles and the classic pharaoh
Good
looks
stuff.
to stay on theme with
The mummy.
This main body would have a hard shell with
First
spiky
two were
digits
incredible.
for
I
arms
can't watch
and
the third
legs. That's right, I'm giving an ultimate legs this time. I have enough stashed away so I can spare some. But these legs weren't
What out
made
of
for
leg
walking,
pile?
so that's not what they're gonna do. One of these days, these legs are gonna make tornadoes made out of sand. Sand and debris it kicks up into the air in a circling motion. He uses these legs to kick up sandy cyclones and then tosses in a few of his prehensile bandages to control them remotely. Funnily enough, about a week ago in our Discord server, a few days after I had made this ultimate, was asking if Snare-oh should have a tornado creation ability because the Thepkufon in the Protector of Earth video game did. Now, I didn't know that was a thing, but for the rest of him,
There's
I
always
decided
more
to just
information.
kinda loosely drape his bandages off of his shoulders to imply they would swirl around him and just add to the kind of like UFO shaped silhouette that I was giving him. Like his body is meant to be the
headed
main
in a
saucer
very cool
and the
direction.
tornado is like the little tractor beam. I don't know. I thought that was a fun shape. Anyway, to recap, for his new abilities, he has a new, hard, durable shell for defense. He can generate tornadoes and control them remotely with bandages. As far as his trade-offs, he can no longer separate his body into wraps. He now has a fully solid like main body. He can't separate it anymore. And because of this, he can no
pretty big
longer
trade-off.
maneuver in like small spaces. He's a pretty big boy now. Other than that, may I present my take on an ultimate Snare-oh that I dub Sand Trap.
Ultimate Snare-oh.
I like the way that tornado looked.
A storm ensnared the night, blinding the sky with the striking lightning from the fastened foil of the frightening fiend, Frankenstrike. Here we have my favorite of the Inner System species, Frankenstrike.
Franken boys.
Frankenstrike has been my favorite Halloween alien since I was a kid, mainly because I just love Frankenstein aesthetic characters.
Same.
Just something about stitches and asymmetry just pleases me.
Love Frankenstein.
Now, with this
Young
ultimate,
Frankenstein's
I had
one of
two
my
different
favorite movies
ideas.
ever.
One, to give him a power specifically to combat predatory Vladats, and two, to just make him a huge electrocharged Hulk. I really struggled to flesh out solid concept sketches for either of them, so I figured I'd just stitch them together and see how it goes.
Fair
Having
enough.
asymmetrical anatomy plays into the aesthetic anyway, so with this daunting dude, on his left side, he uses increased amplitude to charge up his muscles into a hulkingly strong state, as well as fire off shockwaves of power when he strikes. And on his right side, he uses a series of electroconductive bolts stuck into his arm. He can dispense these
Need the
bolts and
bolts.
use them to latch onto enemies, temporarily controlling their motor functions.
Really?
Or, with his new non-retconned hyperintelligence, build up a construct of surrounding materials and form them into a golem that he can bring to life with lightning.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
This golem would only last till Ben turns back to Ben. As far as his colors, I went with purple because I loved the purple
like the
lightning
addition
aesthetic from the original
of, like,
series.
being
and it
able
always
to
upset me a bit
reanimate
that any
things.
type of energy Ben uses in alien form, in most alien forms, at a certain point in the show, they're just all green. The purple lightning was cool. Besides, if all of the energy is going to be green, technically shouldn't Heat Blast's fire be green? It's energy, kind of. Anyway, to recap, as
So
far
much
as new
sass.
abilities, he can
It's
overcharge his
energy,
muscle
kind of.
fibers. And due to this, he now is a pretty big boy, standing at about 12
Big
feet
boy,
tall.
too.
He also has controlled
Franken
charge
boy.
bolts he can use to control people or make golems with. And again, I am giving him hyper intelligence. As far as trade-offs, because of his size, He is a big old boy. He is very slow now. He's very slow and heavy because he's a big chunky man. He also loses his twin Tesla coils from his shoulders and trades them out for a singular Tesla coil on his elbow. He also loses his hair. Other than that, may I present my take on an ultimate Frankenstrike
Male
that I dub
pattern Frankenbaldness.
Mortal Coil.
Ultimate Frankenstrike!
Heavy. Heavy.
What do you know?
Frankenstrike.
Ordering henchmen around is kind of fun.
Shadows dance wayward in the pale moonlight as you hear the weird whispers of the wicked wanderer. Vampire. Kinda hate that name. Now, on to
Kinda
the
sounds like
alien
he's
that
gonna
I have
cry.
been dreading this entire
Vampire.
video. My unenthusiastic tone aside, I know there are a few people out there that love this blowout bat, but the general consensus is that this dude is lame. Like, I appreciate that they wanted to add on to the Anur legacy with another classic monster, but like, they just made him your garden variety overpowered character and gave him a goofy gimmick. I understand what they were going for, and heck, I even think it was executed kind of okay with Lord Trancel's character. But Vampire is just a bleh 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 vampire.
We don't
Doesn't
sound
give
like
the same
that.
vibe as the other 4 Anur system species. Regardless, I made an ultimate, and with it I wanted to try to salvage the vampire-ness, but go in a different direction.
Different direction.
First off, we're getting rid of his eyes.
Oh, all right.
Their planet is described to be dark, and they avoid light at all costs.
Oh, this makes sense.
So I thought through evolving the thermal infrared vision that the base form has, it would become so advanced that they wouldn't really need regular vision. They only got eyes for their snacks. They only need that vision. This ultimate has these gill-like gland things on its head and various spots on its upper
yes, I
secondary set
understand.
of wings
Not
attached to the cowl
eyes.
of its neck, so it can
Thank
see
you
in a
for the
full
notes.
360 degree. To play up the bat aspect a lot more in his design, I extended his underarm wings and made them full-fledged wings with clawed talons at the end. I also added talons to his feet so that he can still grab things while he's flying despite not having like real arms anymore. For his overall design, I wanted it to be like kind
Do
of
the
sleek
vampires
and
have large
mysterious,
talons?
you know, like most vampires or predatory species. So his double set of wings can fold down into a cloak, and his face can actually unwrap itself, revealing his mouth, like the predator, the alien predator. To help with his sneaky stalkeriness, I reversed
Mouth
his
flap is
sonic
creepy.
explosion power and turned it into a sound wave absorption. He can absorb any sound within a certain radius of himself so that prey can't hear him approaching, and others can't hear prey caught in his grips. I also
Interesting.
changed his Corruptoras so that they now act like little minions and can grab stuff for him, as well as attack and explode at will, you know, just for fun. Anyway, to recap,
Man, I'm
as
locked
far
in
as
on that
new
Predator
abilities,
mouth.
He has sound wave absorption.
Kinda looks like the
for
Batman,
stealthiness. He now has drone-like
symbol as well.
Corruptoras that can act on their own and explode,
of course
as
ties
well
it
as
in.
advanced sensory glands that can pick up infrared and thermal vision. Also, I'm giving him an ability called Skin Veil, which just gives him a general immunity to the sun. As far as his trade-offs, this dude is losing his arms so that he can get more powerful wings. He is losing his eyes in place of
Bye-bye
powerful
arms.
sensory glands.
Bye-bye eyes.
And he's losing his sonic explosions in replacement
No more
of the
explode.
sound wave absorption. Other than that, may I present my take on an ultimate vampire that I dub Crypt Creeper.
Oh, Crypt Creeper.
Ultimate
It flapped
vampire.
open. It flapped open.
Light descends tonight. As the dark surrounds you, you feel the worrisome woes of the warped wrath. Vampire. Okay, so I know I was just dogging on Vampire with the last one, but I had more than one idea for
Additional.
it. So
As you do.
round two.
As
Now,
you do.
For this ultimate, as much as I hate it, I decided to lean into the overpowered angle of Vampire. So no living thing is able to approach the Vladat's planet, Anur Vladius, because there's some kind of weird force that just instantly kills anything that gets near it. So I thought I could have some edgy fun and give this ultimate the literal power of death. His body generates this, let's just call
OP.
it dead energy, and he's able to manipulate it in a few ways. The first is the evolution solution to its sunlight problem.
Evolution
He can
solution.
create a straight up veil of darkness around himself so that the sun can't touch him. This also lends well to being a creepy force to be reckoned with, because all you would see until he gets close to you is a giant ball of shadows.
Just darkness
Secondly,
and death.
he can shape the dead energy into constructs capable of absorbing life energy at a distance. Basically, think like a Michael Morningstar type of situation.
this
You
is
touch
sounding
the
like a
energy, you become
very
a Slurpee to someone. To make him even more
powerful
formidable,
version.
I comboed his sonic explosion and hypnosis abilities into something that I call the Dark Whispers. It's essentially just advanced hypnotism that can be done through just sound instead of having to look into his gaze. He beckons all into the dark, right into his crypts.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
to recap, his new abilities include a dead energy generation and manipulation that he can use in the form of creating a veil of darkness to protect him from the sun, as well as create constructs that can absorb life energy at a distance. And again, giving him his new power, Dark Whispers, which is just advanced
Hey,
sound.
you might have to nerf this one.
With a pretty far range. As far as trade-offs, he loses the sonic explosions in turn for the advanced
Okay,
hypnosis,
no spoil.
and he loses the Corruptoras. I know people are going to be upset by that, but he can already hypnotize people at a distance. Other than that,
I
may I
said you
present
gotta nerf him a
another
little.
take on an ultimate vampire that I dub Plague Bat.
Leg back.
Ultimate vampire.
Went crazy.
And sadly, that rounds out our ultimates for the inner system. Since there are only 4 canon species, and I've already covered Ghost Freak in a previous video, check out the playlist below, but I want to finish all of the canon species before moving on to 5YL
I bet you
ones,
Ryan
so
could
that's
create
gonna
some
do
of
it
his
for
own.
this one. Other than that, I'm OR Ash, and I'm surviving.
Not so fast, Asher.
Scare? Why the hell are you here?
You're really ending the freaky festivities so early.
Well, there's no more canon aliens from Anur. I have to work on and beyond.
Those sea devils can wait. You've got one more haunting overhaul to do.
What?
No, Scare, no. What? What are you...
I'm invested.
Darkness of space. I am at my full potential.
Bones pop and crack, splintering twist.
Got me. I really thought it was
Gaze
over.
into the zany Zareth of the Zealot Zeitgeist. The Scare. So, I know I've already done Ghost Freak, but I usually do 5 species per video, and Ectonorites are the only other canon species to Anur. Plus, I wanted to draw another spooky alien.
Oh,
That
yeah.
being said, powers-wise, I'm not really gonna justify them with normal jargon explaining. This time around, we're just doing general descriptions, because I want this dude to be crazy, and he's a very late addition to this episode, so I'm just kind of having fun with it. Firstly, he can shapeshift. He can go as small as his base form, which is about 6 foot, but then he can grow to be as big as the size of a building. Secondly, wherever he goes, it is nighttime. If it is daytime, and he shows up out of nowhere like, boo, it's night now. That's how
night
he
now.
overcomes his sun allergy.
Wow.
He's able to literally just turn it into night.
Sorry.
Thirdly,
It's
he
nighttime.
can create hallucinations from his giant shadowy cloak thing, and use them to attack and terrorize people. These shadowy hallucinations can induce insanity in people if exposed for too long, and Ziskar then feeds on said insanity because...
Ecto-God. Ziskar.
Jeez.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry about Zeke, you won't see him again for a little while. Anyway,
Yeah.
did you enjoy the monstrous
Just had to get a
ultimates I
little
cooked up
jump
today?
scare in
Let me
there.
know in the comments down below. We've also just opened up our Patreon Instagram to the public, so follow us down there for old and new updates alike, including the first look at the albedo versions of these ultimates. Make sure you check out our merch store too for a ton of new designs
Swag
over there,
tank.
including one related to this episode.
I do like the
Also,
legs.
make sure
I
to
do
check
like the
out
leg
all of our
shirt.
links in the description. We've got our Patreon, Twitch channel, and our comic 5YL. As always, I am OR Ash, and I'm surviving.
Will you?
Trying. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. Very spooky. I like the addition at the end that just kind of jumps out of nowhere. Very following the theme of you, Ryan, to be like, ha! Oh, we got one more, just because. And if you like that or this or any of this, leave a like. If you dislike that or any of this, I disagree if you dislike that. But if you just dislike me, for sure leave a dislike. And until next time, WN stuff. Hope you have a wonderfully spooky day.